Do you know what a skipped step is? Well, you're about to find out, because this week we have the Sun in a T-square position with Rahu and Ketu, the north and south nodes of the moon. What does it mean for you? It's big. I'm Kesenya, and I'm going to tell you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Welcome to this week's Astro News and Weather Report for the final week of May 2026. This is tropical Vedic astrology, not sidereal, so look it up if you do need to. And yes, people, I am a real person, not AI. We've got a big week of astro news ahead for us, so stick around and then we're going to get to your personal forecast by sign. You can use the timestamps below to navigate to your sign if you wish, and if the message really hits home, can I encourage you, please hit that like button, subscribe and share this video to help us reach more people with the astro good news. Astrology channels are getting much less traction since the algorithm change that was implemented in early May by YouTube. So can I encourage you, please share and leave a comment just to help us counteract the negative algorithm towards astrology. It would help my channel so much, and it would also help other astrologers' channels as well. We appreciate your input on our channels. Don't forget, friends, that if you're part of the Patreon family, you will also be receiving a very important full moon report for the full moon that is occurring next week. It is conjunct with the two very prominent and beautiful fixed stars, Aldebaran and Antares. Absolute bang-on conjunction. You don't want to miss this particular Patreon review for all signs because it's quite powerful, being conjunct these ancient stars from Persia, the royal stars, Aldebaran and Antares. Join the Patreon family to check out what that means for your sign. Now let's get going with this week's astro weather. This week, we are kicking things off on May the 25th with the Sun in a square aspect to the north and south node of the moon, otherwise known as Rahu and Ketu. We are going to look deeply at this energy for all signs in this video, so stick with me for all the fun. But let's talk about what else is happening in the skies this week, when to expect the energies to hit, and what you might like to look out for. On the 26th of May, Mars will be in a square to Pluto. You might notice this a day before or a day after the 26th in your part of the world. Yikes. You know, we thought that we'd already hung up our nasty underwear to dry, particularly the energies of April. And then along comes Mars square Pluto. Here we go with some seriously unattractive Y-fronts. You know, although on the underwear topic, Mars-Pluto square can find us readily removing said clothing at the slightest opportunity. It's a bit of a randy energy. In the negative, though, with Mars square to Pluto, aggression and manipulation actually form part of this dynamic. You might see it in your own life or in the world around you on the 26th of May, give or take a day or two. Traumas, cheating, crime, violence, and accidents, these are not uncommon under this energy, even if just in oversupply on the 9 o'clock news. Mars is a fast energy, and Pluto wants transformation. So expect the dramatic life turnarounds that could bring these transformative events into manifestation in an instant. Not like a Tats Lotto win, more like an earthquake, so be sure to wear your clean underwear. On the 27th of May, the Sun will be in a trine to Pluto. Now, this is a much nicer energy. It is a powerhouse energy. This energy is potent for impacting others and creating a positive influence in the world at large. So, as within, so without, our own sense of personal power is enhanced, and it causes us to create powerful experiences in our external reality. Now, for some people, this might look like taking their power back in certain circumstances. For others, it might create more of an energy of support in life from male figures. For other people, it might actually look more like significant transformation again that completely redirects their life, but in a much more pleasant energy than Mars-Pluto square. Above all, our vitality is going to be at a peak with Sun-Pluto trine. So it's a great time for expressing ourselves, pursuing our ambitions, and best of all, enhancing our personal joy. What's not to love? Then on May the 28th, we have the South Node in a Yod aspect with Pluto and Neptune. You don't often hear astrologers talking about the Yod aspect, but it is a powerful one. And especially with two celestial planets like Pluto and Neptune, it's going to affect us all in the collective, big time. It's about karma, South Node in that aspect with Pluto and Neptune, karma for the collective. So there might be some hidden motives uncovered. You know, we might discover things about particularly our political leaders or prominent world figures that expose hidden actions. And don't we all realize there's a lot going on behind the scenes that the regular hoi polloi are not made aware of? We're going to uncover some hidden motives on this day, May the 28th. We might also be personally eliminating some toxic attachments or some power struggles, and we're getting rid of them out of our life at this time. We can also be more susceptible to surrendering our illusions, and that's a good thing, I think. You know, sometimes illusions keep us from functioning well in reality. This energy can see us letting go of those illusions and aligning more with a spiritual truth. That's the Neptune involvement in this Yod aspect. You know what? We're being pushed as a collective and personally towards the evolutionary growth point with this energy. And of course, that is the placement of the North Node in Pisces. So Pisces forms a whole sign house in your chart. What is it about your Pisces house that you are actually growing into? If Pisces is your 5th house, this could look like growing into more joy in your life, more creativity, or something connected to children or your childlike heart. If Pisces happens to form your 10th house, you might be growing into more worldly presence, more fame, more success in a career. Where is Pisces in your chart, and what is it telling you about your evolutionary growth point this week? On the 29th of May, I'll get my words out, Venus will be squaring Saturn. This is my favorite transit, said nobody ever. So let's start with the negative. This is a twice annual transit, so it's not unusual to us, and it can bring about feelings of disappointment in love, frustration with our responsibilities and duties, difficulty relaxing, difficulty having fun, seeing our money go down the drain. How frustrating. Is there anything more annoying? Feeling repressed by our intimate connections. Naturally, without a level of consciousness and awareness that this is astrological, it can bring about a level of melancholy and brooding into our lives. But when you know where it's coming from, and you know it's a cycle, and you know it will pass, then you have the skills or the qualities needed to endure this cycle. So it's all about detaching a little bit and realizing this is just an energy doing its thing. Take time instead to rest. Be kind to yourself. Observe your relationships with more objectivity, because this energy will pass as it does twice a year. And now, my friends, on to the juiciness of this video, which is the Sun in a square to Rahu and Ketu. This is such a special aspect because this time about, and it forms twice a year, this aspect, that the Sun will square Rahu and Ketu, but this time it forms at the incredible 4th degree. The 4th degree of Gemini will be where the Sun is at, while Rahu and Ketu are at the 4th degree of Virgo and Pisces. This makes a T-square between 3 mutable signs, Virgo, Gemini, and Pisces, of course. Take note, my friends, the 4th degree is far and away the most powerful degree in the skies this year, and that means the 4th degree of all signs. Do you have planets in your chart at 4 degrees? Rest assured, if you do, my friends, that by August, your planets at the 4th degree of any sign will be the cause of transformation in your life. And this is just the beginning this week with this aspect of the Sun to Rahu Ketu. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, my friends, so you don't miss out on finding out why the 4th degree is so important in the coming months. But this week's big energy is the 4th degree T-square between Rahu, Ketu and the Sun, and it's going to activate our karma, our fate, and bring about new circumstances that are set in motion that we might see the fulfillment of towards August. So let's have a look at this. May the 25th is when this is happening again at 4 degrees of Gemini where the Sun is. And as we already know, the nodes will be at 4 degrees of Pisces, Virgo. This happens twice a year that the Sun moves into a square with the symbols, Rahu Ketu, of our past and our future. These are the nodes. Now, when this happens, this triggers events that shift the gears of our lives, sometimes speeding up our destiny or causing old things that are no longer needed in our life to fall away. And in this instance, we find that we are often grappling with, firstly, a loss of identity due to some sort of dominance from other people in our lives. Or we might be experiencing difficulties generating a vision for our lives and who we want to be. We just can't quite grasp exactly what our soul wants at this point. Or we might find that we experience social revolutions that impact our life. Hello, look at the world around us. There's a big social revolution going on right now, even if it is somewhat subdued behind the scenes. There is movement amongst the masses. This could be more prominent in the collective at this T-square juncture. Not only that, but sometimes we find this T-square with the Sun to the nodes can cause hatred to emerge, rage and jealousy of people in power. So if you have at all felt over the last few months frustration and anger and rage at the people who pull the strings in this world, then expect it to be amplified tenfold by this particular alignment this week. Now, the south node of the moon, it doesn't function in its usual way when we've got this kind of aspect forming. And this is what is called a skipped step, a planet in an exact square to the nodes. This skipped step makes the south node function differently. There's an emphasis on supporting our momentum forward in the areas that the Sun represents. And generally speaking, the Sun represents career, confidence, and our ability to shine in the world. So the South Node, which is usually about letting go of things and getting rid of things and turning away from things, is actually, in a skipped step, supporting our momentum forward because we have skills that we can draw on from the past to enhance our future. So once we've dealt with old issues that might come up around the 25th of May, old issues to do with the Sun things, career, confidence, our ability to shine, maybe, for example, maybe in our childhood, somebody stood on our sense of self by telling us we were no good or not able to accomplish the dreams that we had, or that we would never amount to much. Maybe you were told such lies as that. That is a squashing down of your ego, of your sun, of your confidence, of your ability to shine in the world. Those old chestnuts might come up this week. Once you've dealt with those old issues, then you're going to be able to move forward after the 25th of May into a greater sense of self, a greater sense of identity, the ability to pursue careers that you love and create a vision for your life. This is informed by dealing with the past and gives us the ability to rise out of those hurts and those wounds and disregard those hurts and wounds and move away from them into new opportunities for the future. So what this is all about is utilizing the past to heal and transform and move into our destiny ever so much more. The nodes always have to be considered as a pair. One of the nodes, the South Node, is to learn from and to use the skills created in that area to facilitate our growth. The other node, which is the North Node, is all about taking in all that is new and all that is desired in life. So you can see the seesaw balance. Deal with the past, you get the future you want. You get the future you desire when there's a skip step forming in the chart. Now, this is going to be a rather challenging T-square because the nodal rulers, that means Jupiter ruling the North Node in Pisces and Mercury ruling the South Node in Virgo, they're actually sitting in a difficult relationship this week. They're in a 12-1 type relationship, meaning that something needs to die this week in order for new opportunities to be birthed. I'm not talking literally, I'm talking figuratively. Maybe you need to put to bed, lay to rest, put in the coffin and bury in the ground those old wounds to your ego that you suffered in childhood, so that you have the strength and confidence to move forward in life and take the bull by the horns and live the life you want. That's one example. It could mean that something is dying. Maybe a career is dying so that you can be birthed into a new career. It could mean that your relationship is dying so that you can move into a new sense of self-identity and relationship down the track. Something is dying so that something new can be birthed this week. Look, I talk extensively about how the nodes work in my fabulous 19-session certified extended masterclass on the nodes of the moon. This is available at the Learn Astrology page of my website if you would like to learn more about skip steps, nodes, and how they work in our lives. But this week, how do we overcome these external and internal blockages to our happiness and use this knowledge of this skip step to bring about the best possible outcomes as quickly as possible in our lives? Well, there's 3 things that we can do. We can consciously choose to put ourselves in the driver's seat of our life, to put ourselves first, to make choices that honor us first for a change, instead of thinking about everyone else. We need to choose enlightened selfishness throughout the May 25th date. You could give or take a day before and a day after as well. Choose enlightened selfishness. Don't tread all over others and ruin other people's lives, but choose you first in honorable ways. Also, remember, my friends, that by doing what is right, regardless of the consequences, you will be rewarded karmically later in life. And this is because the nodes are heavily influential with regard to our future, as well as the past we are creating in the moment. So choose the right choice. You know, it might seem like it's crazy. It might seem like, why would anyone choose that? But if you trust in the divine energies and you do what is right, regardless of the consequences, you will reap the rewards in time. Finally, this is an energy that suggests we declutter our life, especially our mind. Release, 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 so that the new can come flooding in for us. Journal. Seek to understand any perceived negative feelings that arise in your spirit on this day, the 25th of May, or the day before or the day after. Declutter your spirit. That might mean going out and walking in nature, doing some form of therapy work, art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy. It might mean actually literally decluttering your environment so that your mind and spirit are freed as your external circumstances are neatened up as well. These are some strategies that you can employ to help you with this skip step energy that's forming this week to get the most out of it. And now let's have a look at how this is going to be affecting us at a personal level for your sign. Look at your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. So Gemini rising, sun, and moon people, we are kicking things off with you this week. There is a skip step forming between the sun and the nodes, and it's all affecting your Gemini sign. What is this going to mean? Well, it means that your first house and everything represented by the first house is going to be sped up in destiny. And this means that your purpose, your mission in life will somehow be sped up. This could see events unfolding that are fated, that are really important, that really shake you out of a rut in some way this week to take you more into your destiny. So remember, make choices that honor the self this week. It doesn't mean neglect other people. It doesn't mean ignore other people. It doesn't mean pretend other people are not part of your world, but it means practice enlightened selfishness. Honor you, and then make sure that you give attention and time to others, Also, we are reminded with this energy to do what is right, regardless of the consequences, knowing that we'll be rewarded karmically down the track. This is a very karmic signature. Karma is at play this week. And I would say even more than this week, because following on from this week, we have a very powerful full moon in Gemini that I'll talk about in my Patreon family. So this is very, very pertinent, this energy this week for you. Sometimes we can feel like we lose our identity due to dominance from people in the first house. And what are people in the first house? You. It can indicate making choices and making decisions that make yourself small. Make yourself, the last person you think of. And I just want to encourage you, my beautiful Gemini people, don't let that happen. Consciously remember, in circumstances where you have to make a decision between yourself, putting yourself first and putting others first, choose you. Otherwise, there can be a real loss of power, loss of identity this week. Make sure you honor yourself and put yourself first. There can also be, because we have the North Node making a square to this sun in your first house. The North Node is in the 10th house of authority figures and leaders, etc., etc. And you might feel a bit of anger and hatred and rage towards those people in power now. I certainly feel this way from time to time, and I'm not even experiencing this skip step on a regular basis. But people making choices, making decisions that affect our lives and destroy our ability to have flourishing, happy, abundant, prosperous lives as the universe wants us to have. And so this can cause you to feel frustrated and angry because the North Node is squaring the sun in your first house from the 10th house of leadership. So don't be surprised if that comes up at this time. Recognize it for what it is. There's only so much we can do. One of the biggest things we can do to fight this oligarchy, let's say, one of the biggest things we can do is actually to connect with other like-minded souls and build a people community, a people bank that can take us through this rather challenging time in history. But again, I come back to honoring what you need. Do you need to know that your food supply is safe and secure? Do you need to know that, you can meet the demands of your mortgage, etc., etc.? Choose whatever it is that is going to help you feel safe and secure. I'd also suggest that the nodal rulers, they're telling us in a square to this sun, something needs to die in order for new beginnings to emerge. So this could look like maybe letting go of a place of living so that you can move to a better place that feels more safe, that feels more secure, that holds space for you going forward into the future. Something might need to die in terms of what you're doing to honor your health, to honor your body's prowess and power in the world and your vitality. Something might need to die. So that could look like, let's be real here, it could look like a need to change what you're eating or how you're exercising or the lack of exercise. There is a need to die to something so that you can have a new beginning with bodily vitality, with feeling healthy, feeling fit, feeling able to physically thrive in the world. Also, it could be quite simple. It could be that you need to die to a certain image that you've portrayed through your dressing, through your hairstyle, through your makeup, and you need to change that image in order to be more respected, more well treated. The first house represents how we want to be treated, and how we dress and how we present ourselves often reflects how we want to be treated. So we need to honor the self. Do you want to be treated like, At the risk of being controversial here, do you want to be treated like a bimbo? Well, dress like a bimbo. Do you want to be treated like somebody of intelligence? Then dress like somebody with intelligence and sophistication. There is a lot to be said at this time for how we dress. Something may need to die in order to be in order for you to achieve the respect and the recognition. Now, if you want to be treated, like if you want to flirt, then dress in a flirtatious, fun, loving way. Keep that in mind. But something may need to die in how you dress. Maybe you've always dressed dowdy. Maybe you've always dressed down and not acknowledged your beauty and your capacity. And this energy says, okay, it's time to leave that dowdiness behind and start dressing in an attractive, beautiful way so that you're treated as an attractive, beautiful person. Now, like I said, that could be very controversial for many people. But let's face it, we get treated the way we dress. This is just a fact of life. And these nodal rulers suggest that something needs to die in order for a new beginning in how you're treated to emerge. So that's what I'm seeing for our beautiful Gemini people. My beautiful Gemini friends, remember I will be closing my live readings in late June for family reasons. If you have a pressing question, there is still time to book with me and get in with a live session with me before I shut down my readings for a short time due to family issues. Also, in the last 24 hours, I've noticed that YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my YouTube subscription list. And so I just come back to this fact that they've changed the algorithm. They are actively working against astrologers. And so please check that you are subscribed to the channel and that you like and share this video to support the momentum of astrological information online. Also, this applies to any astrology channel because they're attacking all astrology channels right now for whatever reason, I don't know. So we need the support of our community out there to uplift us, support us, and empower us. So please check that you're subscribed to the channel. Cancer rising, sun and moon people, well, we are speeding up our destiny this week in regard to the house of past lives. Now, how does this work? Because this is the house of the past and it's speeding up our destiny. Well, the divine energies on the other side, your deceased ancestors, your spiritual guides, your higher self are going to be pulling some strings this week to help your destiny come into play. So there may be opportunities that open up. There might be doors of opportunity to step through. Keep your eyes peeled because you have support from the other side helping you move forward in life. But you've got to recognize it. You've got to see what they're doing and move through. I would also suggest that sometimes there can be, with a skip step to our 12th house this way, there can be a loss of identity due to dominance from 12th house energies. So, this is not necessarily other people per se helping you to lose your identity, but you might get lost in the past. Lost in the memories, lost in the guilt, lost in the shame of what's gone on in your previous earlier life potentially, and also your past life. So what this is telling me is that you need to be very aware that this is the energy of the week ahead with a square skip step occurring between the Sun and Rahu Ketu affecting your 12th house. Be aware that guilt can arise, shame can arise, and it can cause you to lose your confidence in the world. So I just encourage you, be realistic. Journal about what you're feeling. Journal about the insights. You might be surprised at what comes up and what is revealed to you from your psyche about the truth of what you went through and the truth of the shame and guilt that you may feel. Sometimes also when we have a skip step to the 12th house, we might be experiencing some difficulty generating a vision for our lives and who we want to be. This can be difficulty tapping into our spiritual side. We pray, nothing happens. We try and get a good night's sleep, nothing happens. So Cancer friends, there can be some challenges around these 12th house things. Know that it is a cycle and it will pass. It's only going to last maybe a week and then this energy will dissipate. So forewarned, forearmed there, so you know how to deal with things. Have some strategies up your sleeve. What can you use to help you relax, to help you tap out from all the stresses and anxieties of the world? Utilize those mechanisms this coming week. Also, I suggest make choices that honor the self. And this is to do with your spiritual life and your creative life. You know, maybe you haven't had time to do that painting that you started work on last winter. Well, I'd encourage you, take time out to work on that creative project. Take time out to write that music, write that poetry, do those 12th house things. Honor the self through 12th house mechanisms this week, and you might find that it soothes the soul and helps you understand your role in life and the destiny that you want to fulfill. You know, whenever I do art, I find that it reveals something deep inside of me and I get a revelation. You know, this is the kind of thing that can happen this week for our beautiful Cancer friends. Remember, my friends, to do what is right, regardless of the consequences, knowing that karmic reward will come. That is the nature of the skip step. We need to honor the past, yes, and we need to do what is right for our future, and know that the universe is watching and guiding and pulling the strings. So, you know, it might seem crazy to make a choice to do what is right. You know, it might not look like the right thing conventionally in the world out there. You know, maybe it's leaving a job. Maybe it's changing your bank. Maybe it's, investing in certain things. Whatever it is, you need to trust your intuition now and do what your soul is telling you is the right thing to do. And not worry about the consequences. Maybe nothing comes of the choice that you make. Know that the karmic rewards are being built up and prepared for you. Perhaps not immediately, but down the track because of the decisions you make this week. Now, the nodal rulers and their placement suggest that something's going to need to die in order for a new beginning to emerge. And this is very pertinent to Cancer friends because it's happening in the 12th house, of course. The 12th house is about endings. So this is really a signification of some sort of powerful endings. Maybe you've been going through this Sadie Sati and life's been tough, life's been hard, you've been really put through the ringer. Know that these nodal rulers can suggest that that is going to die and you're going to start building a new foundation for your life, a new rock, if you like, to build your future on. Something needs to die, and maybe it's the trouble that you've been going through needs to die right this week so that a new beginning, a new foundation can be established. But significant endings will occur this week. Maybe you've been without a job. You might get a job this week. Maybe you've been in a relationship that has been troublesome. Maybe it needs to die in order for new beginnings to emerge. Sun square to Rahu Ketu indicates something is about to conclude in your life in a big way so that you can move into something new. Also, this is a house of debts and expenses. This could even, in a positive, suggest that some debt or expense is about to wrap up and conclude and end in your life so that you can make a fresh start. Let me just say, if you pay off your credit card, cut it up. Don't use a credit card again. Credit cards are a trap. They're an absolute trap. Debit cards, fine. But debts and expenses never end when you've got a credit card and it's got high interest rates and you're just forever paying that thing off. So, you know, that could be an example of a debt or expense, a credit card that you have the opportunity to end this week, end your association with that debt or that credit card, and you can cut it up and move on. It's a real energy of moksha. And that is liberation this week. So yes, it could feel hard. It could feel challenging. It could feel difficult. It is a malefic house in the Vedic system. But know that this energy represents brand new beginnings emerging down the track. If you end something, know that the new beginning is bound to follow. Well, my Cancer friends, remember that I am going to be closing my readings, my live readings, in late June. So if you have a pressing question, there's still time to book with me before I close my readings off for family reasons. I will be opening them up again towards late July, August. But if you really need something urgently addressed or reviewed in your chart, I'm here for you to help you and to support you. Just jump in while you can and grab your time slot. Now, in the last 24 hours also, YouTube has unsubscribed 18 people from my channel. This is not an organic occurrence. This is to do with the algorithm. Please check you're subscribed to the channel. If you haven't done so already, please join me here for regular updates. And support the astrologers on YouTube as best you can by liking, sharing, subscribing, hitting the bell notification for their channels so that we can defeat the algorithm that is very much against astrology at this point in time. Leo rising, sun and moon people, this is happening. This sun square to Rahu Ketu is occurring in or being affected through the sun in your 11th house. What a great place to be experiencing so much energy and momentum. The 11th house is one of the blessed houses of the horoscope. So it's the house of how we can be profitable and gainful, and most beautifully for Leo friends, this can speed up any destiny we have with rewards and gains. If the universe has designated a certain amount of rewards and gains to come to you in your life, you might find that it comes in a flood this week, that you're blessed this week. So I just encourage you, utilize this time, be wise with what comes in and invest in it wisely, or save, or put it aside in a rainy day bank account. Use this time to set yourself up for security in the future. But certainly a speeding up of our potential for rewards and gains is likely. Another way this can express is that we can experience a loss of identity due to dominance of people who are 11th house people. This could be an older sibling. Maybe an older sibling sort of rakes you across the coals by bringing up some stupid thing you did in your childhood and making you feel, 1 inch small. That can sometimes happen with siblings. They don't hold back in, giving us the hard yards. So I just encourage you, if that happens, remember this is just a passing cycle. It's not telling you that this is a permanent state of being. You have the potential to mentally overcome by realizing what this energy is all about. Knowledge is power after all. So again, this can also apply to friends and friendship circles and friendship groups. Maybe somebody in a friendship group says something bad about you. Maybe your membership of a club is revoked for some reason and you feel like your identity has been really marred. Recognize that this is just a result of the sun square to Rahu Ketu. The energy will pass. You will get your reputation back. This is a passing energy. Sometimes this is a house of visions and our goals and our dreams and our ambitions, and this sun square to Rahu Ketu can give us a difficulty generating a vision for our lives and who we want to be. So what this means is you might find that the usual vision you had and the momentum you had for what you wanted to achieve and what you wanted your business to look like or your worldly success to look like is suddenly lost. You lost the mojo, you lost the drive. Again, it's just a passing energy. In about a week's time, it's all going to come back. Just allow it to dissipate if need be and enjoy, the sunshine and a cup of tea on the veranda, like I always say. Enjoy the moment, recognizing that we don't have to be always on. The current world we live in says you've got to be go, 24/7. This energy is saying, hey, no, okay, the vision might be a little bit hard to come by, a little bit hard to engage with this week. That's okay. Maybe it's time for some downtime and to focus on something else that gives you a sense of joy and gives you a sense of fulfillment. Maybe you get out in the garden and grow some veggies or whatever it is, do some sewing, whatever makes you happy. Forget about the vision. Focus on the joy this week. This is also, really it's an energy of making choices that honor the self regarding the 11th house world, the 11th house energy. And, your dreams are part of this house. Your desires are part of this house. So you can make choices this week that put yourself first. This is the house of friendship. Maybe you need to put your dedication to a dream, dedication to a goal first before you go off socializing and hanging out with friends. Maybe all your friends are going to some concert, but it clashes with a time that you wanted to dedicate to certain, ambitions, to certain visions. And so I'd encourage you, this is a time where you need to say, well, hey, I can't go socialize, or I can't give that energy to my friendship circle or that group I'm part of this week, because my life circumstances are more important right now. And that is the right choice to make. And remember, by doing what is right, if we do what's right under this energy of a skip step to Rahu Ketu, when we don't worry about, okay, well, my friends might not want to ever hang out with me again, if we do what's right, regardless of the consequences, we're going to be karmically rewarded later. I've just given a scenario. If your friends dump you because you choose to stay home and work on a university project so that you can achieve high results, maybe that's your goal, to achieve high results at university, and you choose to forego a concert so that you can work on your thesis or whatever, remember that if your friends dump you for that, they're probably not the kind of friends you want to have. And the rewards will be that you'll get good thesis results and probably step into a new circle of friends that's more mature, more understanding. So by doing what's right, regardless of the consequences, honoring yourself now, you will be rewarded at some stage down the track. Also, my friends, nodal rulers and their placements suggest that something's going to need to die in order for new beginnings to emerge. This can actually look like the death of a vision, the death of a goal, the death of a dream. Know that if that happens, if you find that, I can't pursue this medical career that I thought I wanted, what this might suggest is that there is something else about to emerge. Maybe it's time to turn the corner with life and leave that medical degree alone and pursue natural health therapies or something instead. Again, that comes back to doing what's right, regardless of the consequences. But the nodal rulers suggest that there is something about your major goals and ambitions and desires, even the profits and gains you maybe hope to achieve, might need to be let go of and released now in order that a new direction, a new vision, a new potential for rewards and gains should emerge out the other side. My beautiful Leo friends, remember, I'll be closing my live reading sessions in late June for family reasons. And if you have a pressing question, something that's really on your heart and mind, and you really want to explore it in your chart, there is still time to book with me. I still have openings in early June. So don't be afraid to jump online and make a booking with me. There are still availabilities if you need them. Now, also, my friends, in the last 24 hours, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my channel. This is not an organic unsubscription by people who follow my channel. This is the YouTube algorithm attacking astrology YouTube channels. Not just mine, but many others at this time as well. So please check you're subscribed to my channel, so that you can get all the regular updates and astro news and astro support that I provide here at the channel. And I'd encourage you to do the same with your other astrology related YouTube channels that you follow, because it's attacking everybody. It's an algorithm that has its target set on astrologers right now. And I encourage you to support and help all astrology channels out there, not just mine, by liking, sharing, subscribing, hitting the bell notification to support your favorite astrologers. Virgo rising, sun and moon people. Here we go with the sun in a square to Rahu Ketu this week. It's happening at 4 degrees of Gemini. This is a very powerful degree, which I talked about in the introduction. Sun square Rahu Ketu says that your 10th house is being activated in a powerful way through destiny. And in fact, This is an energy that can speed up the destiny of your 10th house. Maybe your chart holds the promise of fame and recognition and leadership. Well, this Sun square to Rahu Ketu can absolutely, trigger a speeding up of that potential in your life. You might get offered a position. You might get offered a leadership role. You might get offered some kind of, project that you've always dreamed of working on that is going to really enhance the potential and the power of your career. Speeding up of destiny is one way that this can manifest. But also, my friends, be forewarned, forearmed that another expression of this energy, and not all these energies will express for everybody, but another expression of this energy can be that there might be a loss of your personal identity due to dominance from authority figures. In fact, you might experience a level of hatred, rage, and jealousy towards the people in power. So while there is the potential for some people to have their destiny sped up in terms of career, other people might see, others getting promotions ahead of them, and that might cause this jealousy or this anger. How dare they show such nepotism? How dare they not give merit where merit is due to the people who deserve it? Be aware that this can happen. For some of us. There can also be, like I said, a loss of identity due to the dominance of people. Maybe your boss calls you into his office and rakes you over the coals for no good reason. Recognize this is just an energy. It will pass. Don't take it personally. Your boss has probably just tapped into some, bullshit energy that is coming from the sun's making a T-square with Rahu Ketu. Let it go, water off a duck's back, don't take it personally as best you can. In fact, I'd suggest when it comes to career and leadership and public visibility, make choices that honor the self now. If you're running a YouTube channel, instead of, let me just use this as an illustration, instead of perhaps spending your whole week, giving readings to people, like the kind of thing that I do, giving readings to people, maybe you need to honor the self and say, I haven't done a YouTube video in so long. I need to honor myself by putting myself out there in the world. This is the house of public visibility. Indeed, that would be a good choice to make because it puts yourself and your needs for public visibility first above the need to serve and help and provide for others. So Virgo, honor the self this week. And I've given you an illustration that is very pertinent to my type of career, but you may need to make choices that honor yourself in a certain career. In fact, for some people, this might look like leaving a job. I always say, if this is looking indicative of what's happening in the chart, I always say make sure you've got something to go to. I am very much about making decisions not on a whim, not recklessly. This is a difficult, precarious world we are living in. It is, if you need to honor the self, make sure you've got something lined up so that you're not going to be left high and dry and unable to pay the mortgage or put food on the table. But make choices that honor the self. Maybe you say to your boss, you know what, I didn't get that promotion. I'm really disappointed. I'd like to be transferred to another department, please. That's honoring the self and the need, to honor your sensitivities in terms of the workplace situation. If you need to leave a job, make sure, again, you've got something to go to, but you will, if you make choices that honor the self, and if you do what is right for your soul and your soul's joy, regardless of the consequences, know that with this skip step occurring this week, you will be karmically rewarded later on. The universe will step in and provide later on. Now, again, I come back to the need to have something secure for yourself. But even if it's just, okay, I'm going to work as a barista in the local coffee shop. I've got that lined up. My friend runs the coffee shop. I can wash dishes. I can do whatever. That's fine. That'll see me through until the karmic rewards kick in for my choice to leave my high-profile job. Know that by doing what's right, regardless of the consequences, you will be rewarded. The karma will help you move further into your destiny. Also, the nodal rulers of of Rahu Ketu, or the North Node, South Node, they suggest that something's going to need to die in order for a new beginning to emerge now. Maybe you need to step down from a leadership position because, your family needs you, and this leadership position has meant that you're out every night of the week and that you never see your family. That might indicate needing to make the right choice regardless of the consequences. But that also indicates that something is dying in order for a new beginning to come in. Okay, I'm going to step down from this leadership position and focus on my family right now. But I know that down the track, something new is going to present itself in terms of leadership opportunities for me. I just have to say, and maybe I'm being a little bit judgy here, but in our Western world, we just feel like we've got to strive and achieve and hustle constantly to get somewhere, and we miss out on living life so much. We miss out on connecting with the people that we love, and all of a sudden we blink and they're grown up and gone. Or our relationship ends because we haven't given it the attention it deserves. Look, I'm no Adam Sandler fan, far from it. I don't like his movies very much, but I did watch one called Click years ago. And the message of that film, if you've seen it, is all about somebody who's just so keen to pursue their career and get the job done and try and get a promotion that they miss all the beauty of actually living and experiencing life. So I just suggest, Virgo friends, that if you're in that boat and you feel like you're drowning in duties and responsibilities, maybe that's what needs to die. This is the house of the rules and the regulations and the responsibilities to the world out there. Maybe something about that needs to take a bit of a back seat so that you can actually live and get a good work-life balance going, my friends. So my friends, remember, I will be closing my live readings in late June for family reasons in my life. If you have a pressing question, there is still time to book with me in early June, and I'd love to support you with whatever you're going through right now, looking at maybe, whatever issue it happens to be, love, relationships, career, whatever. I'm here for you, and you can still book in for a reading with me before I close things down in that regard in June. Also, my friends, in the last 24 hours, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my YouTube channel. This is not an organic unsubscription. This is the algorithm attacking astrology channels. So I just encourage you, please check you are subscribed to my channel and make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification, all those things. And do this for all your astrology channels because we're all under attack from the algorithm at this point in time. So help us to rise and defeat the algorithm by supporting your favorite astrology YouTubers out there in YouTube land. Thank you so much. Libra rising, Libra sun, Libra moon people. Here we have the not the new moon, the sun square, Rahu and Ketu occurring in your 9th house. Wow, what a placement to be having this skip step happening. This is going to speed up your destiny to do with the 9th house. So it could speed up, a visa application or an immigration situation that you're dealing with, of course. Fantastic. That's, we all want that to be speeded up if we're dealing with such things. We could speed up our education. Suddenly, we're going to get things, instead of pondering over the books until 1 and 2 a.m. at night because you just can't understand a certain concept. This can speed up your understanding of what you're studying, what you're learning about. It could even, I don't know how, but it could even in some cases speed up your process through an application to university or some sort of form of higher learning. Or maybe, for example, if you're studying with me, doing the Royal Stars Academy to learn astrology, you might get the go on, get your roller skates on, and suddenly find that you are able to comprehend and understand and plow through the plethora of videos available there to learn astrology and understand it. Speeding up our destiny and capacity in the 9th house. For some Librans, this can look like speeding up something to do with travel. Maybe you've been putting off booking that airplane flight for a while now, and all of a sudden you get your roller skates on, and the destiny of that particular piece of travel that is waiting for you comes in quicker because you book your ticket and you get your visa and you get all organized for being able to travel some sort of long distance place, because that's what the ninth house is all about. Now, another way this can express this skipped step energy affecting the ninth house can be a loss of identity due to dominance from people of a ninth house variety. So, maybe, your university lecturer rakes you over the coals in front of everybody at a tutoring session or something, and it makes you just feel so small. Maybe, it's some guru rejects you. Like I've seen this happen recently in a couple of my close friends' lives, where they have approached a guru for advice and wisdom, and that particular guru kind of was indifferent, and that left them feeling very much like a ship at sea. Well, I thought my guru believed in me and that I could achieve this particular outcome, and then I suddenly find that they're not supporting me, or they don't believe in me. So again, we have this energy of our identity, our ego perhaps being a little bit crushed by the people of a ninth house variety. So, with that in mind, recognize this as just energy. Ignore the fact that maybe, your guru puts you down, or your lecturer doesn't honor the wonderful job you've done with your assignment, or whatever it happens to be. Ignore that, knowing that it's just an energy that will pass, and perhaps this person is just tapping into the energy of the moment instead of actually really thinking about and engaging with what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Also, this is the house of grandchildren. And let's face it, I know this because, I remember when I was a grandchild, I still am, but my grandparents have passed over. I remember being just a little bit too damn cheeky to my poor grandmother, and criticizing the fact that she always insisted upon us wearing a singlet and a petticoat, which was her tradition based on how she grew up in the environment and the world she grew up, but it wasn't me in the 70s and 80s, that's for sure. And, as a grandchild, I probably attacked her identity and her sense of self. Not because I didn't love her, but because it was annoying me. So recognize, perhaps try putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Maybe they're going through stress. Maybe your grandchild is just frustrated, Don't let it affect your sense of personal self, because this is the house of grandchildren and so forth. It's also the house of second life partner. So don't be surprised, my beautiful Libran friends, if, your second marriage partner, if this is you, if this describes your situation, might be, perhaps being a bit dominant or demanding that we do things his way or her way, and that can make you feel like, well, who am I in this world? What's my identity in this world? Also, this is a house that does have to do with vision. The 11th house and the 9th house are visionary houses, but particularly in the 9th house, it has to do with getting a vision for what we need to activate in our lives in order to accomplish a dream or a goal. Whereas the 11th house is, okay, I'm going to do this project. Boom, here comes my next vision, my next ambition. Here in the 9th house, it's okay, I need to study because I want to be an astrologer. Or I need to travel to this part of the world because I need to connect with these sorts of people to achieve my vision. Or I need to have a greater understanding and do some market research for my vision to achieve a reality. There is some kind of action required with the 9th house for a vision to be generated. Now, that said, a vision to come to fruition. That said, it might be very difficult to understand with clarity what that vision is. Sun square to Rahu Ketu can mean that we have difficulty understanding the necessary steps we need to take to get to that ultimate point. We know we've got to do something. We know we've got to take certain steps, but it's a little bit ambiguous now. Recognize this is just the energy of the moment, the week at large. It's going to pass. So if you're feeling a little bit lost about what to do, don't beat yourself up. Don't, go down the rabbit hole of despair. Instead, say, okay, it's not clear to me right now. I'm going to just chill for a week and I'll come back to this. And then I'll put some strategies in place. So, I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to travel. I'm going to expand my heart and soul and mind. I'm going to connect with wise people, which are all 9th house things. And by doing so, I'm going to direct the attention somewhere else more profitable and wait before I try and tap into that particular vision again. There can also be, and this is one of the real shadow sides of this energy, Libra, you might experience a little bit of rage or jealousy or hatred towards people in positions of power. Now, this might be people who are teaching, people who are in guru positions, and you might be just so frustrated at them. I remember having one teacher when I was doing my planning degree at university. One of my favorite topics in planning was history and historical architecture and the preservation of our historical cultural fabric. Very important topic in my mind, and something that grieves me to see being lost left, right and centre all over Western cultures right now. Not only the loss of our architectural fabric, but our cultural tradition and our cultural fabric absolutely being decimated and torn apart right now. Probably a perfect example, I have absolute rage and anger towards the people who are causing that to happen. And so I encourage you, if you are in the West, make an effort to hang on to our beautiful traditions. Not all traditions are beautiful, but there are beautiful ones. Our beautiful heritage, our beautiful old buildings, our beautiful old cultural activities, etc., that make us who we are, that give, England and Australia and Canada and America the identities that they have, and all of Europe. So, if you experience rage towards the people destroying that, and of course this is a house of culture, so no surprises, this does apply. If you're experiencing that, then maybe it's time to write a letter. Maybe it's time to post about it in social media. Maybe it's time to put that anger and hatred and rage into something proactive to raise awareness for the loss of all the beautiful cultural fabric that we have in Western cultures. But I was sort of heading down a different road when I started talking about this. I was going to talk about a particular teacher that I had when I was doing my planning degree, who was my teacher of historical planning and planning for history to be preserved, etc. Well, she was the most, and look, I'm not exaggerating here out of any kind of jealousy, but she was just the most arrogant woman I think I've ever met, and it just left a really bitter taste in my mouth about historical culture. It was foul, she just thought she knew everything and was the bee's knees, and anyone else's opinion about what was culturally significant didn't matter. She made her students feel small and unintelligent, not just me, but everybody. She was awful. And, you might be in a scenario, let's say you're studying at university where maybe a professor causes hate and rage and jealousy because they're in this position of authority over you, and you have to write assignments to please this tosspot, and you have to pretend to be on the same page as them with their perspective in order to get a pass. What a load of hooey. Truly, there should be recognition of the various perspectives and attitudes, but we do live in a world, and I just have to point this out, where brainwashing occurs through our higher institutions. A lot of young people are turning away from university now because it's expensive, but also because it brainwashes you with a certain narrative that is not necessarily the truth. And I think Uranus in Gemini is a big component of helping that change to come about. There's going to be so many more people looking to short courses, workshops, practical degrees, etc., thanks to Uranus moving through Gemini. But if you happen to be a Libran person, you might be experiencing the frustration of that right now regarding a guru, regarding a professor, regarding somebody in a position of teaching that you are just getting rubbed the wrong way by. I would encourage you, my beautiful Libran friends, to make choices that honor the self. Now, this could be honoring yourself regarding a travel plans. Maybe you plan to travel to Europe with your best friend and they just want to go to England and they don't have any desire to go to Croatia or Hungary or any of the other wonderful countries in Europe. And so you need to make a choice. Okay, am I going to just stay with them and just go to another, Western culture in England and, endure whatever the hell's going on over in England at the moment? Or are you going to make a choice that honors yourself and say, hey, I'll spend a week with you in England, but then I'm going my own way. I'm going to go to Hungary. I'm going to go to Croatia. I'm going to go visit Bulgaria, wherever. Make choices in travel that honor yourself right now. The universal energies are supporting you to make decisions in that regard. Perhaps coupled with that is the energy of doing what's right regardless of the consequences, knowing that you're going to be karmically rewarded later. That could mean deciding to leave a university degree that is actually disappointing you and not just creating a lot of money and expense that you're not actually going to use. Well, maybe the right thing is to step away before you've got more debt than you can handle. And okay, maybe you won't have the degree in that particular field, but there will be other opportunities that open up. Sun square to Rahu Ketu is all about, especially with the nodal rulers in the position that they are, letting something die in order for new beginnings to emerge. Maybe you need to say to your friend, you know what, I don't think I can travel with you. I think we've got too many different ideas of what we want out of this travel experience, and I think I'll go by myself and you can go by yourself. Something needs to die in order for you to embrace some sort of new beginning. Maybe you need to leave that university degree to move into a field that is actually more in alignment with who you are and what you want to achieve and what you want to do with your life. Maybe you need to, perhaps it could be the reverse. You might need to die to this feeling of, I don't believe in higher education, but yet I want to do X, Y, and Z with my life. Maybe that allegiance to no higher education needs to die in order for this new direction, new vision, new goal to be able to manifest. So it's going to be different for everybody because we're all in different positions in life. But certainly this is an indication of some sort of karmic letting go and releasing in order for the new to come in. That said, this is the house of good fortune as well. And I need to come back and perhaps wrap things up by mentioning the good fortune of the ninth house. Good fortune is available here karmically. If you've done the good works, if you have been kind, honored yourself, made right choices that are for the good of yourself and the good of mankind, regardless of the consequences, if you've, lived by your moral compass as best you can, know that there is good fortune and good luck awaiting you as a result of this energy this week. Why? Because this is the house of good karma. And when the north and south node of the moon are connecting with the sun in this way, in a skip step, it does indicate releasing, letting go, and stepping into a new identity that is fortunate and lucky and blessed. So embrace that energy. Know that there might be doors of opportunity opening for you in some way, shape, or form this coming week. My Libran friends, keep your eyes peeled for them. Now remember, Libra, that I will be closing my live readings with people. The option to have live readings with me will be shutting down in late June, but there is still time to book a reading with me in early June if you have a pressing question about any field of your life that you want explored and to get some clarity on. There's still time to book with me. There's a couple of spaces left in early June, so jump on that opportunity before I have to close my live readings for the latter part of June and July. Also, in the last 24 hours, Libra, I've noticed that YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my channel. That's a hell of a lot for a 24-hour period. I know this is the algorithm and not anything organic that's happening. So I just encourage you, please check, my friends, that you are subscribed to the channel, and do your best to help and support any astrologers on YouTube right now, because the algorithm is really attacking us. They introduced a new algorithm at YouTube in early May, and late April, early May. And it's really putting astrologers through the ringer right now, getting less views, less subscribers, less engagement, etc. So please help us to defeat the algorithm by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Hit the bell notification, etc. and promote our work where you can. We really appreciate it. Not just me at this channel, but every astrologer out there who makes their living by presenting this free information to you every week. Scorpio rising, sun and moon people, here comes the skip step to the sun in your 8th house. What does this mean for you? Well, this is speeding up the destiny this week in the 8th house. What might that look like? Well, it could look like some sort of destiny for Scorpio people with some sort of shared resources. Maybe you've been counting on a loan. Maybe you've been counting on some kind of payout or windfall from a will or an inheritance. Things could be really sped up for you this week regarding that energy. Don't be surprised if it comes in quicker than you imagined. Also, there can also be, with this energy, a loss of identity due to dominance from 8th house people. So maybe I get this all the time, the poor people who've had readings with astrologers who have given them no hope or no remedies for difficulties in their life, no way out of the darkness. And I get a lot of people coming to me saying, this astrologer said X, Y, Z, and now I'm just scared to do this and that and the other. Astrologers are an 8th house person. We can really suffer egoically because of something an astrologer said or a tarot card reader said. Remember, my friends, astrologers are human. Tarot card readers are human. Reiki practitioners are human. They're not always going to be functioning at 100%. They're not always going to be in a state of kindness. They are human beings. So, if you've suffered through those sorts of circumstances, and this could be a week when that occurs, if you've suffered through those sorts of circumstances, remember that this is just a passing energy. It doesn't necessarily reflect, get my words out, a eternal truth or a fixed truth. And do your best to support your ego during this time, which could go through a little bit of a crisis period, perhaps from somebody who is represented, like I've described, from the 8th house. That includes people like mystical healers, shamans, psychologists, even surgeons. I would say, I don't want to scare anyone who's getting some sort of surgery, and certainly minor surgeries are nothing to worry about, but I don't want to scare anybody who's getting any kind of surgery this week. This could be cosmetic surgery or surgery of choice of any other description. It's more an energy where it's not that the surgery goes wrong, but maybe the surgeon says something and it hurts you and it's offensive and it wounds you, Scorpio. So, loss of sense of value, sense of ego, sense of personal identification through somebody from an 8th house realm. There might even be, it could be so hurtful that there could be an energy of hatred or rage or jealousy towards 8th house people. Now, I have in my chart to experience that kind of thing on a regular basis, and certainly I've experienced that on YouTube. The amount of jealousy or hatred that has been directed at me has been horrific. If you are a Scorpio person and you are an astrologer and you are a psychologist and you are a surgeon, whatever 8th house activity you may be involved in, there can either be hatred and rage and jealousy coming towards you because of this energy this week, or you might feel jealous of somebody, in those positions in the world, and you want to do what they're doing. So be forewarned, forearmed, Scorpio, that little green-eyed monster might rise up this week towards somebody in an 8th house position, or maybe somebody who receives an inheritance, or somebody who gets dividends from a big investment, or somebody who is, able to achieve something in terms of joint finances or a divorce payout or whatever it is that you weren't able to achieve, and you're just like, damn it, how come I, don't get that privilege, and blah, blah, blah. Recognize this can be kind of the tenor of this energy at the moment. I'd encourage you, my beautiful Scorpio people, to make choices that honor yourself this week. Make choice. If you're making a will, think about the people you love and care about and honoring those people rather than doing your duty necessarily by your will. Make choices that honor what your heart aligns with. And this is the house of, wills and the inheritances and so forth. You may like to think about how you want to best honor yourself in those regards. Also, the investments that you make, also the loans and the mortgages, make choices that best honor you. Maybe you've got a business partner and they're saying, we need to get a loan through this bank because my dad owns this branch or runs this branch or whatever. And you're like, look at the interest rate. This is insane. We're not going to get a loan through this bank. No. We need to go somewhere much cheaper. You make sure you stick to your guns, dig in your feet, and honor yourself through any, potentially shared resources and money and investments and shared loans and mortgages, etc. Make sure you honor yourself. Also, I'd encourage you, this is a difficult house. It's a house of trauma. And it's also can be connected to some organized crime and the dark side of the 8th house. And so I just encourage you, make choices to do what is right. If you're dealing with organized crime, or, maybe you're in a position where someone's trying to bribe you or give you some sort of a payout to make you do something. I saw the best thing on social media the other day, where this town, I think it was in Missouri or somewhere in America, some town and all its mayors and elected officials and stuff on the sly gave permission for a data center to be built at the town. And the residents of the town were beside themselves with fury, and they had some local council elections coming up in the next week or two. So they voted everybody who had voted yes for the data center out. Gosh, that makes me proud when I see things like that happening. The power to the people, lose your position because you don't reflect what society wants. This needs to happen. At large scale levels too. I'm talking in Congress. I'm talking in, the Parliament of Australia. We need to be making. Sorry, I've gone off on a tangent. We make choices for what is right, regardless of the consequences. So, I just encourage you, if you're facing the, somebody's offered you a bribe to do something, make a choice for what is right in your heart, regardless of the consequences, knowing there will be karmic rewards. What those rewards look like, I can't say. But, we're dealing with some serious 8th house things. Insofar as trauma, well, maybe you've experienced a trauma, but you've suppressed it. Or you haven't honored that, trauma, that trauma happened, and you're trying to just live a normal life. I encourage you to make a choice for what is right for you regarding that trauma, 8th house energy, and not worry about what people are going to say, what people are going to think. If you go and get that trauma therapy or whatever, know that you'll be rewarded, obviously, by making a choice that honors the self regarding some crisis experience or trauma or deep catastrophe that you've gone through. Also, the nodal rulers actually are in a position where it suggests that something is going to need to die this week in order for a new beginning to emerge. So I really do think that our Scorpio friends are going to go through some dramatic reversals quite quickly. Some circumstance of your life is going to end so that a new beginning comes in. And it's going to be a real week of renewal, rebirth, reactivation in some way. It can also look like some intimacy is going to end this week. This is very karmic. Trust the divine plan now. So it could be that, maybe, a sexual relationship is coming to an end, or some financially mutual relationship is coming to an end. I mean, not everybody's going to experience this, but some people will as a result of this energy. Something will die in a hurry. In those regards, sexually intimate, a relationship of intimacy, some sort of mutual partnership or mutual funds or something like that. But it's going to allow a new beginning to emerge, a new relationship to emerge, or a new way of doing intimacy with your partner that might emerge, or a new way of sharing resources that might come out of this for the greater good. So it's about trusting the divine. This is about Rahu Ketu, South Node, North Node, and the Sun, letting go of the past so the future can manifest in a way that is for our greater good and our greater destiny. You know what, Scorpio? I will be closing my live readings off to people in late June because I have family circumstances that I need to attend to. If you have a pressing question, if you have a pressing concern or heartache or circumstance that you really want to understand, I still have booking spaces available in early June. And so I just encourage you to make a booking with me if you need to for early June. Let's connect and look at your chart. Now, in the last 24 hours also, Scorpio, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my YouTube channel. This is not an organic unsubscribing. This is the algorithm, and it concerns me greatly because in more ways than just that, I've noticed the algorithm really targeting astrologers on YouTube lately. Not just me, but other astrologers too. So can I just encourage you to please check that you are subscribed to the channel, and like and share and promote this astrology channel and any other astrology channels you love, because astrologers online at YouTube are going through a very tough time as a result of the implementation of a new algorithm in late April, early May. So your support is so valued and treasured, and I thank you for it. Sagittarius, rising sun and moon people. Well, this is going to be a doozy of a week for you because this skipped step is occurring on angular houses for you. We have the sun in your 7th house, Gemini, making a square to Rahu and Ketu in your 10th house and your 4th house. It's all about work-life balance. It's all about business and connection with other people. How is this going to manifest? Well, you know what? It may not even manifest to affect you personally, Sagittarius, because it's about your partner. So there could be a speeding up of the particular karmic destiny of your partner. So Sagittarius, you might notice that your partner gets certain opportunities, or they grow their audience, or they get new clients, that sort of thing. Your partner's destiny, career-wise or personally or profitability-wise, etc., may really go through a massive growth period or a massive change. Not only that, but the destiny that you have with your clients, students, audience might actually get a bit of a hurry on as well. You might start getting more students, more clients, more audience coming into your life too, because it can affect both you and your partner. You by opposition to the house of you, and your partner because this is occurring in the 7th house. So that's one way that this can manifest. How lovely. And there can be a speeding up of destiny, perhaps with a business association. This is the 10th house from the 10th, so it does have to do with business affairs and being in business, etc. So there can be a speeding up of destiny in that regard as well. If you're dealing with a contract or some sort of commitment or promise or vow, there can be a speeding up of the karmic destiny associated with that contract that needs signing, or a deal with a lawyer or something of that nature too. What else is this representing? Well, it's representing that in some way, for some of you, not all Sagittarius people, but for some of you, there can be a loss of identity due to the people of the 7th house. Maybe, maybe your business partner takes the limelight. You worked together on a project and you built this particular business, and your business partner steps up and said, I did this, I did that, and this was my initiative, and da 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 da. And your identity suffers because they're like, hey, look at me. So that's one expression of this. Maybe there could be a loss of identity or an ego poke, if you like, due to a client, due to your audience not getting on board with you or something like that. So there's a number of different ways this can manifest. It can manifest in a positive momentum, speeding up of the destiny because of certain factors in this skip step chart, but it can also go the reverse as well, the polaric reverse, where we suffer and feel small because of what other people are doing or behaving like in our world. So forewarned, forearmed. Remember that if that is what happens, this is just a passing energy. It's not that your partner hates you. It's not that your business associate, wants to belittle you. It's just an energy that they're probably tapping into. Let it ride, let it go, and don't take it too personally. Now, there can be perhaps some difficulties generating a vision, Sagittarius, for your life regarding relationship and partnership and commitment. Maybe you've thought for the past 6 months, yes, I want to get engaged, or this person's for me, and I want this person in my life. And then along comes this energy and you're having doubts. You're starting to think, do I want to commit? Is this partner the one for me? We can be really sort of having difficulty tapping into what we see our future like with this particular person. Again, remember, this is a passing energy. You might feel very different by next week when it's all over and you're out the other side. So do keep that in mind if you don't go jumping into sort of, spur of the moment decisions that you end up regretting. Also, if you're a single person, I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you're a single Sagittarius, you can be, there might be some sort of speeding up of your destiny regarding partnership this week, regarding connection, regarding making a commitment or being in a long-term type relationship. Something about relationships could be sped up for you if you're single. If you're in a marriage, or a committed relationship, if the relationship is good, there could be a speeding up of the destiny for more good things to arrive and more connection and more, bonding. If you're in a relationship that feels constantly like you're walking on eggshells or you're just miserable, there can be a speeding up of perhaps the conclusion, the ending of a relationship. But that all depends on the quality of the relationship as you approach this week. And keep in mind, there's a full moon coming here as well. It's occurring full moon in your sign this week, Sagittarius, which I talk about on my Patreon family. That's going to affect you quite personally, especially if you have your ascendant sun or moon sort of between, maybe 6 degrees of Sagittarius through to maybe 12 or 13 degrees. You're going to feel this full moon really strongly, and coupled with this sun square to Rahu Ketu, my God, it's quite a karmic week. It could be very deeply affecting your relationships. So do join me at the Patreon family if you want to know more about this full moon, where I talk about it in the chart of the full moon in greater depth. I hope you enjoyed last week's video on Algol and the new moon. That's what you get every week at my Patreon, well, not every week, every month at my Patreon family for the full moon and the new moon. And in depth, I go way more in depth than I do on YouTube with my videos at the Patreon family, so that you get all the blessing and all the goodies. But back to the T-square between the sun and Rahu Ketu, the skip step occurring. I'd encourage you to make choices that honor the self. This is what the nature of this skip step is all about. And it's very pertinent to you, Sagittarius, because it's affecting your house of other people. Meaning that when it comes to other people in your life, you need to choose what's right for you. That means in relationship, That means in business. That means with a circumstance with clients and audience and all other people. Also, you need to make choices that honor the self and choose what's right for you regarding contracts. You read a contract, it's sounding dodgy, don't sign it. Say, I want to take time to review this, or my lawyer to go over it, because I need this contract to be bang on for me. Make sure that you put yourself first this week. It's hard because this is falling in the house of other people, and we want to please other people. We want win-win situations, but this is the week that for our karmic future, we are required to honor ourselves so that we don't end up full of regrets and full of life disappointment. That said, I'm not saying it's time to walk all over other people and wipe your muddy boots on them. We need to do what's right regarding other people, regardless of the consequences, knowing that we'll be karmically rewarded later. But doing what's right means doing what's right for you, as well as allowing them to get what's fair too, and to receive a fair outcome as well. So many times I see it in my readings with people where they have put other people first, thinking the other people will appreciate that or honor them for that, and they don't. And then they end up feeling like a martyr, like they have sacrificed themselves and their life happiness for other people, all for nothing, all to be cast aside. It's so heartbreaking. So this is what I'm saying. Honor the self, but do what's right for other people as well, once you've put yourself and your needs in the driver's seat. I will also just mention that the nodal rulers are in a position that suggests that something needs to die this week in order for a new beginning to emerge. And so that means something in relationship, something in business partnership needs to end. And that could be anything. It could be, it could relate to how you and your partner divvy up all the chores. That's got to end. I can't be doing the cooking and the cleaning and working full time as well for you to just come home and crack a beer and watch the football. This suggests that something in a relationship, something in a business partnership needs to end so that a beautiful new beginning can emerge, so you can be more in your karmic destiny. That's what I'm seeing for you, my beautiful Sagittarius people. Remember, Saggy, I will be closing my relationship readings. I'll be closing off my live readings at the end of June for some family reasons. And therefore, I have a couple of spaces left in early June if you would like to make a booking with me to discuss anything that's on your heart and mind and soul right now. I'm here to support you by exploring the energy of your astrology. If there's a question that you really need answered, I'm here for you. Also, my friends, in the last 24 hours, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my channel. Now, this is not an organic unsubscription. This is the algorithm. They are attacking astrologers on YouTube at the moment. And can I just encourage you to check that you are subscribed? And if you're not subscribed, do so. Like and share this video because, and not just mine, other astrologers as well on YouTube, because we are all under attack by the algorithm that was introduced against us in late April, early May. And I just encourage you, please help your astrology loves on YouTube out by promoting and sharing their work. Thank you so much. Capricorn, rising, sun and moon people, we are having a skip step this week, and guess what? It happens to be falling in your 6th house. What does that mean for you? Well, essentially, it's going to speed up your destiny regarding 6th house things. So if you have been, practicing a diet or a new exercise routine or seeing a healthcare professional or perhaps, going to some sort of alternative health provider or something like that, the intent or the destiny to do with that activity is going to come in quicker and faster. You might receive a solution quicker and faster than usual. You might get enough guidance from your healthcare visit to really support you going forward into the future, and you don't need as many appointments as you thought. You might find that your diet is really working for you, or your exercise programs are really toning you up faster than usual. There's a speeding up energy with this skip step occurring in the 6th house. Another way this can express, though, is a speeding up of your destiny regarding work, Capricorn. Your daily work, the kind of work that helps you make ends meet or put food on the table. You know, it's about the conditions of your workplace as well. So there is some sort of increased speed to the destiny that has to do with your workplace and the environment of your workplace. That said, there might be some sort of loss of identity that you experience as a result of the environment of your workplace. Maybe your colleagues, maybe your co-workers, maybe, you know, the conditions of your employment affect your personal sense of value or your personal identity. The sixth house has to do with enemies, actually. So it could be that there is some kind of an enemy, open enemy, somebody who's in a position of conflict with you that causes some sort of identity loss, ego sort of deflation. So don't be surprised if that happens. Instead, have some strategies up your sleeve. Okay, if they rake me over the coals, if they bring me down, if they point out certain mistakes at my work and it drives me batty, what am I going to do? How am I going to deal with it? Think about it in advance so you are forewarned, forearmed, and prepared. This is the house of adversity and where we struggle. So Capricorn, there might be a lot of difficulties having a positive glass half full vision for your day-to-day life this week. And if that's the case, know again that it's just a passing energy. It's not permanent. It's not here to stay. You can absolutely find solutions, if you like, to that circumstance, you know, knowing that in a week's time, it's not going to be a bother for you anymore. This is also the house of employees. So if you happen to be an employer, and this is happening, as many Capricorn people are, and you are dealing with employees this week, know that there might be a lot of animosity from your employees this week. And it might pay to be prepared as well, forewarned, forearmed in that regard, to sit down with your employees and discuss circumstances and situations that might be of particular concern before the proverbial hits the fan, you know. Because, you know, mitigating this energy before it gets to its peak can be done. Also, this is an energy, this skip step about making choices that honor who you are, that honor yourself. And so, you know, if you are in a position of service that's helping, healing, fixing, you need to remember to put yourself first this week. Now, I've seen a lot of people in my life who are in positions of service, let's say they're in aged care or whatever, and they put their own physical health on the back burner to take care of the elderly, for example, or the disabled or whatever. And they end up, by doing this year after year after year, with health issues and health complications that make their own elder years an absolute nightmare. Can I just say, if you're in a position of service, honor yourself. Let's say you're a barista on your feet all day making coffees and you're getting, you know, shin splints or aches in your legs because you're standing all day long. You need to honor yourself by going out and getting a pair of really supportive shoes or a rubber mat to stand on so that you can actually offer your service better. You've got to look at your conditions in your workplace and make choices this week and decisions this week that honor yourself, lest down the track you get the unfortunate results. This is a very karmic energy. It's about the past and the future meeting in the present right now. How you are dealing with your work circumstances is very important this week and will affect your future. In fact, you must do what's right this week for you in your work environment or with your health or with your well-being, and choose what is right for you. And perhaps don't think about, okay, the consequences. Oh, what'll my boss say if I tell him I need to order a rubber mat to stand on? Or I tell him I need assistance in lifting this elderly person because I can't do it on my own. What's my boss going to say? You've got to do what's right for you, regardless of the consequences, knowing that the rewards absolutely physically and in the manifested reality are going to come to you, if not sooner, then certainly later, by making that choice to honor the self and doing what is right for you, health-wise, work-wise, physical-wise, diet-wise, exercise-wise. Make the right choices for you this week. You will not regret it. Now, also, Capricorn, I noticed that the nodal rulers are in a position that suggests something this week is going to need to die in order for new beginnings to emerge. So what might this look like? Well, it might look like that you need, I've talked about this many times, but it's just reiterated this week. You might need to leave certain toxic foods alone so that your body can regenerate its health and its well-being. You might need to let's say, die to a certain workplace argument or conflict or something, so that you can, move out the other side and have a happier work-life balance. That is very, very important, of course. So there can certainly be the need to say goodbye to some adversity, say goodbye to some disadvantage, some dissolution of harmony, so that balance can be born out the other side of this energy. So this is very much about burning our karma this week, dealing with your karmic debt, in order that a new beginning can unfold for you. You can clear away the karma and emerge into a much more blessed life. My Capricorn friends, I just want to remind you that I will be shutting off my readings towards the end of June in order to be able to deal with some family issues. So if you have a pressing question, there is still time to book with me in the early part of June. So if you need some support or some guidance, then I'm here for you. Also, in the last 24 hours, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my channel. Now, this is not an organic unsubscription. This is an algorithmic problem, and I'm not the only astrologer on YouTube experiencing this. Can I just say that it's so important that you support astrologers online by liking, sharing, subscribing to their channels and facilitating their content, commenting on their videos, etc. We really, really appreciate it. So just check that you're subscribed to my channel and that you haven't been unsubscribed. And thank you so much for the support you offer to my channel by being here. Aquarius rising, sun and moon people. Here we go with the energy of Sun square to Rahu Ketu, which is a skip step and a T-square occurring in your fifth house or influencing your fifth house. What does this mean? Well, it might be speeding up your particular life destiny in the fifth house realm. What might that look like? Well, that could mean that if you have been waiting for a romance to begin, maybe you've been eyeing off that guy at work or seeing that girl on the train, this could indicate that you might actually be able to approach them and get somewhere. There's a speeding up of the potential of the fifth house energy. Quite exciting. This could also be affecting your children as well. Maybe their destiny is coming in thicker and faster and quicker because of this particular Sun square Rahu Ketu kind of energy. Quite exciting, of course. This is also an opportunity to reinvent your career. And there might even be big changes coming in career with this energy. Because this is the 8th house from the 10th, representing when we get activation in this realm of the chart, big change and reversals to our career that actually take us into a luckier position or a better vantage point. So this could be quite positive for you and speed up that process. Quite exciting. The other perhaps issues that perhaps aren't so fabulous with regard to this skip step, because it's a very mixed bag, the sun is making two hard aspects to the north and south node of the moon, is that this could indicate a loss of identity due to the influence of people of the fifth house. So if you've got a boyfriend, if you've got a girlfriend, they could say something cutting or hurting this week that really deflates the ego in some way. Know that this may or may not be intentional, or it may or may not be something that you want to take on board for your future with this person. The energy will pass in about a week, but sometimes these barbs that we receive from others, especially our nearest and dearest, can really cut to the core. So I just encourage you to sort of use this week as a weighing up week. If that happens for you, if they, say something unkind or do something that really lets you down and causes you to feel a sense of lack of self-worth, use this time to evaluate the relationship in its whole context. Could also be that your children deflate your ego. Now, my God, that happens all the time with kids. They say something and or they do something embarrassing and you're like, oh my God, I'm the worst parent ever. Or they've just, they've pointed out to the world that I'm not perfect or whatever. There can be a loss of self-confidence due to something that our children do or say. Sometimes that can be quite amusing and funny. There's all these funny videos on social media of little children pointing out exactly what they think about their parents, because there's no filter with little kids. And that can be quite confronting sometimes. So try and see these sorts of things with a good dose of humor if that's what happens with your children, and recognize there is an age gap. If you've got teenagers and they're telling your mum you're so daggy, you don't dress very cool or whatever, recognize, okay, there's a difference here between my teenagers and me in my 40s or whatever. Try not to let it ruin any relationships. Can I just say regarding children, there's an energy with this skip step that sort of is inhibiting our vision. So, you might have, before you had kids, had a vision of, oh, my children are going to be like this, and we're going to have a family that looks like this, and it's going to be fun, and Friday night games night, and friends coming over Sunday afternoon, and we're all going to hang, and it's going to be great. And suddenly that vision with your children and the family life and what it's like to have and care for kids it can really change when they actually come into your life. But there might be a feeling this week of a loss of a vision, a loss of the dream regarding children. And again, I come back to the point that this is a passing energy. It's not a permanent state of being. It could just be that this week is an off week, and that vision you had for family life and relating to your children just needs to sort of take a little break, as reality sets in. Keep that in mind. It is also possible that your children might be acting out this week, because this is an energy, the skip step of the sun, Rahu Ketu, does bring about hatred, rage, and anger towards people in power. And guess who's in power in the life of a child? You, or their teachers, or their basketball coach or whatever. Somebody in power is causing your children to absolutely lose it. So recognize what this is. This is energy. This is not that your children are bad children, or that they're, always in trouble, or they just can't get it together. No, it's just that they are tapping into this energy because it's forming in your chart in the house of children. So graciousness, kindness, patience, tolerance is required this week, and lots of love for your kids as they go through this experience. Can I just suggest also, my beautiful Aquarius friends, that this is an energy for making choices that honor yourself. And I would suggest that you make choices by tapping into what your childlike heart would have wanted. As a child, what did you dream of? What did you hope for? What did you look to fulfill in this existence called life? Well, make choices this week that recognize that honor that. Ask yourself, what would my 12-year-old self have wanted in this circumstance? Because this energy is about making choices that honor the self and put the self first. Doesn't mean you ignore your kids or you ignore your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but it is about listening to what did my little girl self or my little boy self actually dream of, hope for, and want, and how can I make that more a reality and a manifested experience in my life. Keep that in mind. Also, You might also find this week that there is something coming to an end regarding the 5th house. The nodal ruler's placement suggests that something needs to die or end or conclude in order for a new beginning to fully emerge, my beautiful, beautiful Aquarius friends. So this could mean that the way you are interacting with your children might need to end, and you might need to recognize your children are getting older, more responsible, and you need to conclude some sort of mollycoddling that you might have been doing with them, or wrapping them in cotton wool, so that they can emerge into greater autonomy and greater responsibility. That's what the nodal rulers affecting the 5th house in this way are indicating regarding children. It could also be that maybe some creative project that you've been really investing in, maybe a written work or an artistic work or a performance or something, needs to come to a conclusion. Maybe it's just not hitting the mark anymore, and you realize that it needs to die and you need to reinvent what you're doing. Have a new beginning that comes to the fore with your creativity. It could well be that a career needs to die in order for a new career to emerge, and do make sure that you've got a career opportunity to go to, so that that doesn't end up with you being in a precarious position. Of course, I always err on the side of caution where I can. There can also be, something might need to end with regard to a relationship. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that your boyfriend or girlfriend's going to leave you or anything like that. It just might mean the dynamic needs to change, Aquarius. There might need to be some sort of redirectioning of the relationship or reinvigoration of the relationship, so that it can get recharged and can begin afresh going forward from this week on. That's what I'm really seeing is going to be very pertinent because of this skip step this week for our Aquarius friends. And remember, Aquarius, that I will be shutting down my readings towards the end of June. My live readings will stop being available because I do have some family issues that I need to deal with. But if you have a pressing question, there is still time to book with me in early June and get a reading with me to explore whatever is on your heart and mind and soul right now with whatever you're navigating. So you can go to the website to make a booking if you need to. Also, Aquarius, in the last 24 hours, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my website. And this is not, as I've been saying, an organic unsubscription. This is actually something that's very connected to the algorithm. And they're really targeting astrologers at the moment and trying to bring them undone. So can I just ask if you could check that you are subscribed to the channel, and also if you could support all astrologers online that you love by sharing their work, promoting them, email a friend who, might benefit from some of the messages that are being shared here on my page and other YouTube astrologers' pages, so that we can overcome this algorithm that has been geared against us. We would appreciate it so much. Alrighty, my beautiful Pisces, here we go with some interesting energy, a skip step unfolding in your 4th house. This is an angular house, so it is felt quite pertinently and quite strongly. The Sun in a square to Rahu and Ketu at 4 degrees of Gemini. It's affecting you because you've got Rahu Ketu in your 1st house, 7th house axis. What is it going to do? It's going to speed up your destiny regarding 4th house things, regarding where you're living, where you're putting down your roots, the home that you're making, or where you're renting. Maybe you've been looking for a new rental house because the one you've been in has been crap. Well, this could speed up the process for you, and you might find exactly what you're looking for. Speeding up your destiny here. There could be a speeding up of destiny regarding like moving to a new home, moving to a new city, relocating somewhere across the world. If that's on the cards and it's meant to happen, then it may just be part of the energy that's unfolding this week in a really important way. Not only that, But I also could see that if you are very connected to your mother or a mother figure in your life, something to do with the energy with that mother is karmically coming into play. The role of your mother, the impact of your mother in some way will be getting more important this week or speeding up in its destiny. Now, I will also point out that there might be sort of a deflation of the ego that occurs this week from your mother. She might say something. She might act some certain way that sort of leaves you feeling less than. This is a loss of identity due to dominance from fourth house people. So it could be a mother figure, but it could be somebody in your family. Maternal line is mostly associated with the fourth house, but there are other things like, your family members, both of your parents. It could be your children even, if you're a parent yourself. That the way you parent, might be causing you a feeling of a loss of ego, a loss of identity in some way. You might also find that there is difficulty, Pisces, getting a vision for your life. Maybe outer circumstances could be causing that, or it could be coming from inside you, or it could be very karmic. Where are you going to live? Where are you going to put down roots? Who is your community? It might be very difficult this week to get a grasp on that. You might feel unrooted, like, a ship on an ocean, unable to sort of feel settled in the one spot. So there can be very great deal of difficulty sort of aligning with where you think your life's going in terms of where you live and the community you belong to and so on this week. This can cause an energy of sort of rage or anger towards, it could be towards family members, fourth house members, could be towards mother figures. It could also be an energy of rage potentially projected towards the 10th house, authority figures perhaps, who are keeping you from being able to put down your roots or find your sense of stability and safety and belonging in the world. So that could also be the case for Pisces people too. You know what? The energy of this skip step says we need to make choices that honor the self. What do you need for your sanity now? What do you need for your emotional equilibrium, which is a fourth house thing? They're the choices that you should be honoring and putting first. Do you want stability, security, safety, and, a sense of protection? Well, you need to make the choices that honor that and honor the ability to do that this week. Regardless of what's going to please other people, regardless of what's going to be best for other people, you need to make choices that allow you to feel safe and secure in the world and less precarious. Make choices that honor the self regarding those roots and that stability and, that unshakability that the fourth house foundation is meant to represent. You know what? We should always do what is right, regardless of the consequences, knowing that you're going to be karmically rewarded later. And maybe what is right this week has to do with supporting the family, being there for family. This is the house of family. Choosing to honor your parenting over the demands of a work situation might be the right choice. Fourth house versus the opposition, which is the 10th house of career. So it's hard to get a good work-life balance this week, Pisces, to sort of be in that state of, harmony with both outer world and your private world. But this is an energy that says it's time to do what is right, regardless of the consequences, so that in the long run, it all pays off and you receive the benefit. Now, one thing that this does also suggest, Pisces, is that the nodal rulers are in a position saying that something needs to die regarding where you live, regarding the way you're dealing with family or the way family is unfolding in your life. Something needs to die in order for new beginnings to actually emerge and new beginnings to be facilitated. So, you might need to change where you live so that you can get a better community experience. You might need to change what's happening in your domestic life so that, it's fairer, it's more, equal. And so that there is a fresh start with who does the chores and who is responsible for certain things. Something needs to die in order for new beginnings, new opportunities, new blessings in life to emerge. So that could be not literally a family member dying. It's not what it means. It's more figurative. But this is all designed this week. The energy that unfolds this week is designed to take you more towards your karma, your destiny. It's designed to take you more towards why you're here on this planet. So trust in the unfolding, even if it feels a little bit crazy this week, even if it feels like family life is lacking in security and stability and home life feels a little bit precarious. Trust that the divine is opening the way for you to be where you need to be in the long run. Do what's right regardless of the consequences, and allow things to leave that need to leave, things to end that need to end, so that new beginnings can emerge. Pisces, I just want to remind you that I will be closing my readings, my live readings down in late June, just for a short period of time while I deal with some family concerns. So if you've got a pressing question and you want to discuss it with me, there are still some time slots available in early June. And so I'd encourage you jump in on that while you can and book a reading with me. If you've got something that's on your heart, or you're grappling with a decision, or you're dealing with some circumstance and you want some understanding, jump in and grab a reading with me while there's still some availability. You know, in the last 24 hours on YouTube, I have seen that 18 people have been unsubscribed from my YouTube channel. This is not organic. This is the algorithm unsubscribing people. And please check that you are subscribed to the channel, and also do what you can to support all astrologers on YouTube, because we're all under attack by the algorithm at the moment. It's letting us all down. They don't like astrology for some reason. And so please support your favorite astrologers. And if I'm one of those, thank you so much, by liking the videos, sharing the videos, hyping the videos, subscribing to the channel, obviously, hitting the bell notification, emailing your friends with a good video that really resonates and that where they may need some support and some guidance. Do what you can to help all astrologers online, because I really feel it's an attack against our profession here on YouTube. Aries rising, sun and moon people. Well, here comes the skipped step of the sun Rahu Ketu affecting your third house. What does this mean? Well, it means your third house destiny might be speeding up now. What does that mean? It means if you've been feeling restless, you're going to take a trip. You're going to go on a short sojourn. You're going to get away for a while. There will be a localized trip that unfolds for you, speeding up of the destiny of the third house, which is restless movements. Sometimes the third house has to do with moving home. Actually, it is the 12th house from the 4th. So this could indicate that some of you Aries people might be moving, might be changing places of living now. It doesn't mean necessarily going to the other side of the country, but it could mean a change in your localized environment, or your neighborhood might be what's changing here. Also, there might be a speeding up of the energy to do with ambition and drive. You know, you might have felt a bit lackluster, like, I don't know what I want to accomplish. I know I'd like to have my own business and blah, 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 but how do I do that? And suddenly this energy speeds up the ability to accomplish something in terms of having your own business or using your own skills to make a living. So you might feel the pressure that causes you to say, well, that's just it. I've got to open this market stall tomorrow. I can't dilly-dally any longer. There is a speeding up of the destiny of the third house, which is workshops, market gardens, or markets and selling and buying and trading, crafting, using your talents and skills of the hands in some way. Could even see you speeding up your destiny in getting a certificate or doing some sort of workshop or study of some type as well. Another thing that this can represent is a loss of identity that might occur this week due to some sort of dominance from third house people. The people in your neighborhood might be complaining about you. Might be complaining about, your rusting car on the front lawn or whatever. And, that just deflates your ego, makes you feel less than, makes you feel not approved of by your community. Neighborhood is represented by the third house, Aries. So, this is one expression of this energy. It could also be that siblings bring you down or say something and it really bursts your bubble in some sort of way. Even friendships can be represented by this, like friends that feel as close as a sibling can be a cause of us feeling like, well, who are we? It's not an indication that a friend is going to necessarily leave your life, but they might say something or do something and you question the friendship. You question how much they value you and your identity within the framework of that friendship. So don't be surprised if this sort of thing happens, but remember that this is a passing energy. This is not a permanent state of being, and within a week or so things might be back to their old usual self. Try and let whatever occurs be like water off a duck's back, of course. Now this is an energy that also suggests that it's important to make choices this week that honor the self in a third house way. Maybe you have always wanted to learn to play the clarinet, but various circumstances of your life have been prohibiting that and keeping that at bay for some reason or another. And so in that sense, you want to say, okay, well, this week I'm going to find a clarinet teacher. I'm going to learn to play clarinet. I'm going to honor myself and allow myself the privilege of being able to learn music or, do this workshop or learn this craft or whatever. Honor the self with your choices regarding these sorts of third house activities, and you won't regret it. You won't. Know that this is actually very tied to karma. And by entering into, learning new skills or expanding your talents and so forth, you're actually going to be moving yourself more towards your karmic destiny, Aries. It's really about, putting yourself first. It doesn't mean neglecting others, but it means putting your desire to upgrade and upskill in some way at the forefront. Also, when it comes to your neighborhood and your neighbors, this is about an energy that requires you to do what is right. And, it's not about deflating your own ego, but let's say your neighborhood people are complaining about your rusty car on the front lawn. Well, what would be the right thing to do in that circumstance? It might feel like a deflation of ego, like I described earlier, but the right thing to do might be to honor the neighborhood that wants things to look pristine and neat and nice and put the rusty car around in the backyard where they can't see it. It's about doing what is right for the neighborhood, regardless of the consequences. So it's about honoring the self with skills and talents and abilities, and perhaps even opening up some sort of a business that makes you money on your terms. But it's also about doing what is right for your community and your neighborhood. And there are going to be karmic rewards from that. You do what's right for the neighborhood, your neighborhood will be there to support you, or should be. So that's one expression of this energy. Of course, sometimes when we've got a T-square, things can be very polaric because there's a whole empty zone on the other side that's not getting any energy and any attention, and we can sort of go too much to one side and not the other. Know that there might be an energy of feeling anger or rage towards your neighborhood for pointing out that you have a rusty car on the front lawn and it's embarrassing and whatever. And you might be just like, oh, enough of these hoity-toity, neighbors. I'm sick of them thinking that they're so much better than everybody else because they don't have a rusty car in their front yard. You know what I'm saying here. There can be a reactivity about some sort of neighborhood experience, and that could really bubble up your rage and anger towards certain neighbors, etc. I do feel that for many of our Aries friends, because of the placement of the nodal rulers, something's going to need to die in order for a new beginning to emerge this week. So it could be a relationship with a neighbor comes crumbling down to the point where your neighbor says, that's it, I'm out of here, I'm selling this house and I can't stand living next to you anymore. And a new neighbor comes in, you get a new neighbor. But hopefully nothing as drastic as that, although I know a lot of you might like to see your neighbors leave. But the nodal rulers are saying that maybe, you need to, in order to learn the clarinet, you might need to create more space in your life and reduce your busyness so you can go to your clarinet lesson once a week and practice half an hour every night. Something is going to need to die. Maybe you need to stop watching that show on TV so you can practice your clarinet, so that this new beginning of new skill set development that you're cultivating can emerge. So don't be surprised if that happens. Really, I feel that for many of you Aries friends, the expression of this energy is a lot lighter for you than it may be for other people who are going through this Ketu Rahu skip step to the sun this week. So Aries, I do need to let you know that I do have readings still available up until the middle of June. At that time, I'm going to be closing down the accessibility to my live readings because I have some family issues I need to deal with. So if you've got a pressing question, if something's on your heart, if you want clarity about what's going on in your life, if you want to understand what's coming up for you, there's still time to book in with me in early June if you need some support in that regard. Also, Aries, in the last 24 hours, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people from my YouTube channel. This is not an organic unsubscribing. This is the algorithm, and they have introduced a new algorithm at the end of April, early May that is really affecting astrologers. So can I just encourage you, my beautiful Aries friends, if you like what you get on this channel, please check that you're subscribed here. And in fact, for every astrologer on YouTube, we could all do with your support now, because the algorithm is really causing astrologers to struggle right now. So check that you are liked, sharing and subscribed to all your favorite astrology channels, and support our work here, our work that we offer for free to you each week. Support that by sharing it with people who might need the message. Send them an email with the link to the YouTube video and so forth, to bless others, and share on your social media. Leave a comment to engage the algorithm, etc. We really, really value and appreciate what you do for our astrological community here on YouTube. Beautiful Taurus, rising, sun and moon friends. This week we have Sun squaring Rahu and Ketu, creating this skip step energy, and it's happening in your second house that it's going to be expressing. So what might this unfold as? Well, it could speed up your destiny regarding investments, regarding the acquisition of material resources, Taurus. The things that you value might suddenly be more available to you. Maybe you've been wanting to add an acquisition to some collection that you've made, and you thought you're going to have to save forever, but then along comes this energy and suddenly you can acquire that much quicker than you thought. It's speeding up your ability to obtain what it is in the material realm that you want. So you might have thought it was going to take ages for an investment to pay off. This energy can see it paying off in a much quicker time potentially as well. Another thing that we are also seeing is that there might be some difficulties this week generating a vision for your life in the material sense. This is a way that a sun skip step can express, and when it's coming through the second house, it can mean, that there's lack of clarity around what you want materially your life to look like. Most of the time that's not an issue, especially for Taurus people. Yes, we know we would like this color couch, and we would like this sort of a home and this kind of a garden, and we've got a pretty good idea what material things float our boat. This week, it might be a little bit more ambiguous. Maybe you're tossing up between two new couches and you can't make a decision which one's going to look better in your lounge room. Maybe you have to make a choice of what kind of kitchen bench tops are going into your new house, and are you going to go with marble or are you going to go with the wood look? How do you decide? It's going to be very hard this week to make a decision materially in your life. And as such, it might be a good week to perhaps postpone any major decisions like the bench tops in your new kitchen or the car that you're going to buy or whatever it is. You might be better off just waiting a week, and then you're more likely to be in a state of clarity around your material purchases and what is really going to float your boat. Taurus, this is a week of making choices that honor yourself. So maybe you have, always wanted to get that, little pixie haircut, but your husband's like, oh, I love your long hair, and no, I don't want you to cut it. Well, this is an energy that says, hey, this is about your hair, your face, your teeth, your makeup, your clothes, all that sort of thing. This week it's about saying, well, this suits me. This is what I like. This is what I want. And it is about honoring the self. You'll feel good about it. I mean, it's very drastic when you're cutting off your long hair and getting a pixie cut, of course. That's quite a big change. I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that, but it's about what's deep in your heart that really floats your boat about these things, about, the clothes you wear, the perfume smells you like, anything that is touch, taste, sight, sound, what have I got? Touch, taste, sight, sound, or smell related. These are the things where you need to honor yourself. Hubby never liked that perfume. My girlfriend never liked that cologne, but I love it. I'm getting it. I'm going to buy that. So make choices that honor the self this week. It's very, very important. Also, when it comes to do with your resources, you need to make choices that are honorable and right, regardless of the consequences. Because you will be rewarded karmically. This is very karmic energy. It's about taking you into your material destiny, your financial destiny. This is a week for making right choices with your money, knowing that you'll be karmically rewarded later. Okay, I'm going to invest in my children's schooling this week. It might cost a little more, but I know that the results are going to be that my child is going to have a happier school experience, Or I'm going to invest this week in, some sort of charity perhaps. I'm going to give a percentage of what I earn this week to this charity. Okay, that's going to create a bit of pressure in other areas of my life, but I have to do it because it's been placed on my heart how I'm spending my money. I have to do what's right with how I'm spending my money, regardless of the consequences, knowing that the karma, the energy is going to be in my favor in the long run because I do this. So I would then ask you, how are you spending your money? Where do your finances go? How do you utilize your finances? Make right choices regarding the spending of your money this week. And you know what's right deep in your heart. Putting, your weekly wage on the horses, not the best choice of money when money's tight. So make right choices now, regardless of the consequences, knowing that you will be rewarded down the track. And finally, my beautiful Taurus friends, the position of the nodal rulers suggests that something needs to die in order for a positive new beginning to emerge this week. So I do feel that there is something that needs to change, not die literally, but something needs to change regarding your face, your teeth, your hair, your voice, your clothes. Something might also need to change regarding what you eat and how you eat, in order for benefit to emerge out the other side. There might be something that, you need to spend time, for example, learning new skills and abilities that can help you get the resources you need in life. And that might mean the end of all the time you spent watching the football on a Saturday afternoon. And instead, you're developing your skills and abilities to help you get more resources in life. Something needs to die in order for you to get more resources, more money, etc. It could be that you need to look at what you're doing to earn money. What's your career? What's your work life? And is it helping you to make the money that you want for the life that you long to live? That might indicate perhaps something about that work that you're doing might need to end. And you might need to direct your energies into something else that can give more money. And I do believe the universe will present you with very karmic opportunities if that is something that is needing to be considered for you moving forward. That's what I'm seeing for my beautiful Taurus rising sun and moon people. Remember, my friends, I will be finishing up my live reading opportunities towards the middle of June. For family reasons. They'll open again before the year is out, absolutely. But this is a real chance for you, Taurus, to jump in and get a reading with me in early June while there are still some availabilities before I have to stop doing live readings just for a short while. So if you've got a question that's on your heart, if you're feeling concerned about something, if I can support you in any way by looking at your chart and giving clarity and understanding about what's going on, jump in and get a reading with me now while you have the chance. Also, in the last 24 hours, my friends, YouTube has unsubscribed about 18 people off my channel, just in the last 24 hours. So please check that you're still subscribed. You know, this is the algorithm. This is not an organic outworking of people unsubscribing from my channel. This is YouTube doing this. And I would really value it if you could support all astrologers online by checking your subscription, by promoting astrologers and sharing their work wherever you can. Because, you know, quite frankly, a lot of astrology YouTube channels are under attack by the algorithm. What worked for us, you know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago is not working for YouTube astrologers anymore. And in fact, they're actively working against us, as illustrated by the fact that I've had so many unsubscriptions from my channel in recent times that are not based on people unsubscribing. So if you can like, share, subscribe, we would value it all so much, all of us on YouTube who bring you the astrological news and weather every week. May you all be blessed, my friends, and I'll be back next week with another Astro Weather Report.